I think what's interesting to me about some of these streams is the nervousness I get, even though nobody's on the stream or watching. And it's almost like, oh no, oh no, what if someone shows up? Um, and that's funny. So I guess I'll just wait a couple of minutes anyway and start in maybe a minute or two. Okay, so essentially what I want to try and build today is um, a photo gallery web app. And it's something that I've been thinking of doing for a while. I'll go through some of the photos that I have in a bit. But what I envision is something maybe up here, up top, there's an indication of the photo. And there's a line indicating not maybe the photo itself, but sort of these photos that you're going to see along the line. And as you sort of move through the photos, these will animate into the middle, and the photo here will also animate in one way or another based on which way you're sliding. And then maybe down the screen, if you tap in this area, it will move this way. If you tap in this area, it will move this way. If you tap or click, depending on the device that you're on. Keyboard arrows as well. So using keyboard arrows, you can move images, and then maybe some kind of transition as you're going through the images. That's the high level idea and thought. And then up here specifically, like this isn't just any line, it's going to be a representation of a subway line. And that's what the project was essentially about. So many years ago, I went through a photo project idea. I did it in Toronto, New York, and London. And the idea here is that I start off at one subway station. So I guess Toronto Bloor subway line map. Okay, this will do. So I start off in one area of the map of a subway line. So I picked this subway line, line 2 in this case, the green one. And I started off at Kennedy Station, and I took pictures of the station, inside the station, and then I walk outside through the streets or the neighborhoods or whatever it is where the subway line is going, and taking pictures along the way. And then I get to the next station, and I take pictures of this station, and then I walk around. So if this line passes through a park, I'm going through the park and taking pictures of the park. If it passes through a cemetery, I'm going through the cemetery. If it's passing through whatever it is, as long as I'm allowed to go in that area. If I'm not, then I just detour around and take pictures along the way. So that was Toronto. I went from Kennedy to Kipling. And in New York, it was line 5. And in London, it was the Victoria line. And this is how the images look, essentially. That's Kennedy Station. And then take pictures inside. Get out. And then take pictures outside along the way as I'm walking to the next station. These are the neighborhoods. These are the things that I'm seeing. And then I'm at Warden. And now taking pictures inside Warden. And now I'm out and I'm walking to the next station. And so that's sort of the experience I want. So that top area in the app, can be a representation of the subway line. Maybe take the colors of the subway line green in case of line 2 in Toronto, and have that displayed. So there's a few ways I can go about it, and I haven't thought too deeply about it right now, and I guess I'll work my way through right now. So I suppose I have to do two things, right? I have to do a back end and a front end. So the back end will be serve image metadata, and this will be based on each album, I guess. So each city will be an album based on album. And then back end again, I want to serve the actual images. Right, I want to serve the images, and I might want to resize the images, etc. Initially, I might just serve the full images. This is all local anyway. And then the front end is what it is. It's a photo gallery, and you can switch albums, navigate photos via tap click and keyboard arrow keys. And then I want some kind of animation moving from photo to photo, both in the photo itself and then some animation in the line representation of the subway line. I think that's essentially it. There might be some other things that come up. Initially, I was thinking that I might use MongoDB to store the data, but now I'm thinking I can build out a backend and maybe just have the data represented as JSON for now, because I'm not, like, it's all local. I'm not storing it anywhere. It's not deployed anywhere. And then once I decide to deploy it, I can figure out the exact database storage options. So for now, it's this, and I guess I can start off with the backend. The last couple live streams were all pure front end, and I will fumble my way through this. Like, I didn't really plan out the details and I haven't created a project from scratch on the back end in a while either. So this will be a process of discovery, and I'll go through some of the tooling that I like using for this. Maybe increase the size here a bit. All right, so let's call this gallery, and I'll do a quick git init and then an empty commit. Sure, why not? Did that really commit with nothing in there? No, it didn't. Okay, so I'll just add some stuff. So we'll have the backend, which will be the server. And I'll yarn init in here. Gallery server version 1. Sure, why not? I think I can just enter my way through the rest. And I have a package.json, and I do want to just commit this anyway. Oops. Okay. And now let me go through some of the tooling that I like to develop Express servers in Node and whatnot. So we will be using TypeScript, and I can probably add TypeScript. And I know I'm going to be using TS Node and Node mod as well. And then I can also go ahead and initialize TypeScript. So I get a TS config, which are a whole bunch of options that I don't think we will be modifying, unless, we might be modifying some of these, but we'll see. Okay. Let me just commit that anyway. All right, so the library that I want to use is called routing controllers. It's specifically a TypeScript-based library that mimics how we represent controllers, perhaps in a Rails environment, and also in .NET environments as well. So here's a setup. I'll go through this in a bit. But effectively, you're able to define a controller file, and it's a class, and each method gets linked to an endpoint, and it'll be whatever HTTP method that you're using, put, post, delete, so forth. And you return the output, and this is what gets returned from this endpoint. So pure text in this case, you can return HTML, of course. In my case, I'll be returning pure JSON, and it hooks into Express this way. So it gives you options to pass in controllers, and it will serve those specific controllers. We can also pass in a directory path, which I'll be doing in a bit. Yeah, so we can define JSON here, and everything that gets output will have a JSON content type and everything. You can pick out parts of either the URL or body parameters here. And let's just take a look. And you have decorators for other things as well. So if you want to go deep inside into the specific request object or the response object and do whatever you need, but otherwise use these decorators just for accessing body parameters, query parameters, or URL parameters. This is what we'll be doing using the controllers path and picking up a whole bunch of controllers all at once. And there's other things you can configure here as well. So I'll get the server set up, and then I'll get the data set up, and we'll start serving the data. Routing controllers, I want reflect metadata. Get all of these. And these, since it asked. And we'll also install the types. Okay, and it's important to set these options in tsconfig, so let's do that. Emit decorator metadata. I can probably just uncomment that. And then experimental decorators, and I can uncomment that. And that should be good enough. And then here I can set up my app.ts or server.ts to serve a bunch of directories. So I can just copy the whole thing here. And source server.ts, let's just say. And get that all in there. And in our case, we're using TypeScript. If we were compiling this, then I would just have both TypeScript and the JavaScript lines, because ultimately the compiled version or the transpiled version will have JavaScript. That should be good enough to get me going, and then I can add scripts here. And I believe I can just do now nodemon source server.ts, and this should just load up my server. Yarn dev. And it does, and we don't have any controllers right now, so I believe we were using port 3000. Why doesn't this want to find my file? Okay, I named the directory server, so when I type in server, that's funny. Okay, port 3000, so let's take a look. and cannot get slash because we don't have it. I do want to maybe have a route prefix with slash API, just so it's clear that this is in fact an API. And then I'll, okay, and I do see nodemon is working here because it's restarting. And I wonder whether nodemon will work based on everything in the directory, or whether I'll have to specify for it what to watch. So let's go ahead and create the controller restrictor here, and your typical welcome controller, just to get some endpoint in there. And sure, I'll pick this up. Actually, not this. Okay, doesn't matter. Here, I'll take the JSON controller aspect from routing controllers. We'll call this welcome controller. This will just be the main endpoint for get for now, and then we'll add a different controller to serve the album data. Just call this index like we used to back in the Rails days, and return just an empty object. And now when I refresh, I would have expected to see the endpoint loading, and I don't. Let me take a look here. I gotta get slash users. Right, so I need to, well, I guess for my purposes, maybe I'm not 100% sure if it's picking up the right folder or directory. So for my purposes, let me try and just add the welcome controller here. And we'll do it this way for now. And if this doesn't work, then I have a different problem. And it seems not to work. I'm not seeing any output in here either, which I assume I would if I had this working. API. Yes, like I literally decided to do API a few seconds ago, and now it's come to bite me. Okay, so that is working, and I guess then I can probably undo this here and reserve the API, and that should work. And there isn't any output here, which is a bit silly. So let me see if there's any logging capability here, or if this is just anything for logging. Otherwise, we might just be able to hook in a regular server for logging, or a regular plugin for logging on Express. Morgan middleware, and we hook it in. How do we hook it in? I have used Morgan in the past. But we have to pop it into Express somehow. There we go. Okay. So it's app.use, and have my Express app here. Although I'm not doing that. I am using create Express server straight from here. So let me for now add Morgan. And then let me grab this, because I know that doesn't like that. Yeah, I guess it'll also allow me to do, oops, import from, I can just move that. Okay. And then here in routing controllers, I should be able to use something else. Instead of create Express controller, I believe I can do something like use Express controller, and that way I can create my Express app, add Morgan in there, and then pass it into. I don't have ESLint, which is why all these things aren't happening. And you know what? I'm not gonna bother with it for now, and we'll just see how it goes. And it is bothering me for types on Morgan. Okay, good. And I can use Express Server instead of create Express Server. Pass my app in here. And that should be all the same. So now when I come in and refresh, I'm getting some nice logging happening here. So I know that the server is working and it's hitting there, and that'll help me with a bunch of debugging later on. All right, let's get this committed. I've added a server.ts, updated all these, adding routing controllers. And now I can start thinking about what my controllers will look like for actually serving the image metadata and designing the image metadata as well. So for welcome controller, I can just have an album controller. I'm thinking. Albums ID, and this will just return to me all the information for a specific album. So I imagine this will be album/Toronto, London, and then New York. And I'll just return the full data here. And in this case, I can test this out by grabbing the param here. And I'll just return it as part of this object. And then at least that I know that part is working. It doesn't like something. Right, so one of the things that I didn't do, even though it was in the instructions, and I believe this is what's related, is import reflect metadata. And oddly enough, I wish that they had just included that here in their example, but I guess not. And now when I come in, that information works, and I'm getting that in through the params. Great. And now what I want is to set up my my data, my false just JSON file, pretending to me by database, or actually being my database really. And I want to do it based on the albums here, and then each one of these images will get its own object within the database. So it'll just be an array of these images. And I guess that'll just be one collection, which is this, and I might have another collection of just the albums and some metadata about the albums, and then images and some metadata about the images. Okay, so let me write a script to go through the current directories and create a basic JSON file that I'll want. And initially, the object might look something just like this. So images will be an array, and each object will just have a name of the image, I guess, the file name. You know, img.jpg or whatever. And then the album that it's a part of. So in this case, it'll be Toronto. And then because certain images I might want to display in different ways, I can indicate here maybe whether it's station. So this can be a Boolean. So, oh yeah, it is a station, or it's not. Really, those are the two kinds of photos I have. Either it's in a station or it's along the way. A description, although most won't have any descriptions, but I do want some of them to have descriptions some of the time, and maybe the description can pop up from the bottom of the photo or somewhere. And I think that's it for now, and then I'll just grab the whole thing perhaps. Okay, so something like this. We'll start off with this and we'll see how it goes. Create a scripts, load image data. So I'll probably want to do two things. Actually, I want to move this out of here. I'll probably do a couple of things. I guess I'll just have a data folder. I probably need to do path.resolve in order to make this work. Just call this data for now. And that's my data folder. And then I'll have two kinds of files. One will be bones.json, which I could probably just hand make. And the other one will be, let's just simplify it. So it'll be something like, and this could be album name -images.json, and that will hold all that information. I'll just pop out a main method, which I'll run here. As I suspect I might do some async stuff here, or maybe not. I might not even. So I want to read folder. I always forget the code for JS. Read files in directory. So I read dir, and it will give me files here as a success thing. I wonder if there's a promiseified version of this, but maybe not. No, this seems to be it. Read dir, and then log the file. So let's do that here. Folder will be the data folder. Actually, it won't be the data folder. It'll be the images folder. And then in this case, I'll also want to just add Toronto to start, and then we can do the all of them. And image folder actually is, so I guess I'm in the source folder. I'll have to go one up. I'm in the scripts folder. I'll have to go one up to the source folder, and then one up to the server folder, and then one up again. And I have my photos. And let me just log that out. Data folder and image folder. I don't need to do this for now. And let's see if that works. I don't have autocomplete here. So yarn ts node, load image data.ts. And no, it doesn't like it because either I don't know how to type or it's, okay, I don't know how to type. TS node script load image data.ts. Unresolved script, require unresolved script. And that is the, maybe I need to give it a path. No, it doesn't like it. Source, of course. Scripts load image data.ts. Okay, and it hasn't left the gallery here. So the data folder is gallery server source. Okay, because I did data here. And I wonder if, okay, so let's just take a look here to make sure everything looks up to speed. Okay, I got random access coding, I got gallery, and then server, and then source, and I want source data. That seems correct. That's fine. I can have data be in source. So that's correct. What doesn't look right to me is this doesn't look resolved here. And so maybe I can just do something like this to see whether it gets to the right folder at the end. And obviously I don't need this bit. And let's make sure that works. It doesn't want to go beyond gallery, it seems. So it's like gallery / photos. And what I can probably do for that is move my photos in here. So just have a git ignore photos, move my photos into, oops, I want to move my git ignore out of here. Yep. And then move my photos into here. So I don't have to mess with that. I would have expected this to have gone down. No, I just need to add one more path. It's just my counting is wrong. So I could just probably move photos back. Right, okay, silly me. Okay, that works fine. I got my images folder correct. And now let's see if it reads for that. All right, great. So it's pulling in all the file information, and I guess I probably should be moving photos in anyway because I'll be serving these photos from the path. But I guess whatever, it can pick them up. Okay. Right, and now I can start building out my object. Can be this and image metadata. Oops. I'll probably use this in the app elsewhere. I have some stuff to find here. And really what we need is the album name and photo. And I'll go ahead and make this. And do that so it's dynamic, and I'll just make this an array later. And for each file, if file dot ends with, I'm just gonna make sure that they're all actually JPG and not JPEG. But if one is missing, it's not a big deal for now. Ends with JPEG because I don't want that DS store file to be picked up. Let's just make sure I got that right. Come on. Okay, that looks good. And it is sorted by default, it seems, so I probably don't have to do anything there, and these should be in the right order. I will give each one of these a unique ID as well, so. Okay. And this is an image metadata array. And for each of these, I'll just push in an object with, okay, so file name will just be file. Album will be album name. And then station and description can remain empty for now, and I will have an ID. And it doesn't matter what the ID is, as long as it's unique, because I want to use that in the URL of the front-end application. I don't know if we'll get to the front end today, but let's see. Okay. Let's get rid of that. And it doesn't like something here. It's not defined. There we go. And that's the end of the for each, and I can probably just log images. I don't need that there. I can do that in here, in fact, because I'll eventually make this a loop to do everything. Okay, looking good. I got ID, I got the file name, and I got the album. So now let's do Toronto, London, and New York. And we'll do that, and we'll get each one of these, and I want to output this into my data folder as the name dash images JSON. And I'll want to JSON.stringify the images here. And that should give me my images in a file. The only thing that's not correct right now is I know that New York is word. And let's do that. So now I expect there to be a Toronto file. Let's make this nice. Let's not do that. So let's do null2, and this will format that, even though machine will be reading it. Actually, no, I will be modifying those manually as well. And once I'm done with that, I can write a different script to pop this into whatever database I choose for this. And then I'm good to go. Okay, that looks good. And now if I hit the Toronto URL, I want a list of these images. And I was expecting to do some metadata as well about each album, but I guess I'll just start with the images first. I actually like naming these dash controller. Just like in Rails. Okay, so, and I guess I'll get the raw album information over here, and this can be get images. Images over here, I still want the ID, and here I'll want to I'll actually need both of these. I wish this the standard library would be here, so I wouldn't have to do this manually, but that's fine. Okay. And this becomes data folder. I know I should be using these, but if ESLint was configured, it would automatically, convert this into using the backtick string. Data folder slash album name, which is the ID in my case, and then dash images.json. And then let me return images here, and I can just pop this in here because I want to parse that. Okay, let's see if that works. And really, I'll have the crux of my server done here for what I want it to do. Albums, chrono slash images. There we go. And this is enough. Like, this isn't a whole lot of data to be sending to the server for our purposes. So I don't have to paginate. I don't have to do all of that, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay. And I guess I could do this as well. If I have this, so I want to actually serve, end up serving the image itself. And here I'll want file name there as well. And what I'll want to do is actually end up serving the full file. So let me see how we do this with routing controllers in the case that we want to serve binary data. I wonder if it has any images. Because I can't just return content type. Because I can't just return a JSON object. So I do have to return a certain content type. It's going to be JPEG, I believe. Well, let's see. You know what? Let me just try it out. Why am I hesitating here? So what happens if I just take the data, and this will now be image folder, ID Toronto is correct, and this will be the file name. And I can test that out. Localhost 3030 API albums Toronto slash images slash image name. And I do have to return data here. And that's not what we want. No such, okay, so it's not finding it. So photos, Toronto, and it's tagging on that .json because I am doing this. And that's not it, even though it is, that's not my file either. Even though it is, it seems to be reading the file correctly. It's toString and I don't want it to be a string. And that's what copy paste will get you, kids. Okay, so it serves it straight up, and that's really what I need later on. I might be able to do fancy things like pass in, you know, like size equals 500 or whatever, and it'll control the image size or resize it as we go. But this is good enough. This works right off the bat as I would have expected it to, or as I would have wanted it to. And now I am serving my images from the server, and I am serving the image metadata as well. Great. Let me pop in the DS stores so they don't show up here anymore. Package.json, I added unique ID and that's it. Yeah, I guess I deleted welcome.ts and renamed it. I can just get rid of this and have reflect metadata, that being the only thing there. Add, added scripts, added a data directory. I probably don't want to commit this. Okay, doesn't look like that. So there we go. Controllers, that's odd. I would not have expected the controllers folder to show up in its entirety, but that's okay. Actually, the only thing I want to do here is call this albums, make it plural, and actually fix up the name here as well. Okay. Oy, albums controller. And again, another file deleted, another file changed. And I'm good here. And I'm ready to now get into the front end. And I'm realizing that I might have to do some business for cores and whatnot, and we'll see. So serve image metadata, yes. Backend serve service serve images. And resizing and all that we're not gonna worry about for now. Maybe resize images. That's for later. And I can jump into here. And really what I'll probably just do is just create the view for viewing a specific photo and then navigating it from photo to photo with different styles or aspects. Okay, so let's do that. Yeah. All right, let's get some front end in there. And same old. Okay, sorry. Oh, I don't want that. Okay. Yarn create v right here, and I can just call my project front end. So that's the directory will create view ts. Yarn it up. Okay, yeah. So I'm not using a mono repo, so yarn won't work in any folder. And that's okay for now. This doesn't have to be a mono repo. Okay, and let me go. I do need to keep the front end running. And that's port 3000 as well. That will cause problems. Access was denied. How dare you? Okay. I don't think it's the port, but let's see. And it apparently was the port. So I'm not going to wrestle with this. I might have something else running on that port. Okay, so let me exercise this properly for my view anyway. And then install Tailwind. I should probably have like a default thing that, you know, gives me all the front end things that I use right off the bat. Tailwind config, and add what I'll need in the content. Files, get main.css. And import main.css. And that should get me good to go, and I'll just try that out. BG slate. Let's make this super dark so it's apparent that a change has been made. I might have to just remove the default styles here. It's actually not clear to me that it is picking up the... Okay, so I just had to restart the server for it to pick up the index file. And now I can probably just make this that, and I'm happy here. App.view. I can just get rid of this, get rid of this. Just have a nice flow for now, and I can get rid of this as well. And it doesn't like it because why would it not like it? Maybe it doesn't like that I remove something that it had in memory or something. Okay. I have a yarn.lock that I'm not expecting, probably because I did a yarn in the parent folder. Initial front-end commit. Okay, so now I can start thinking about what I'd drawn out earlier, which was that this area here being the line, and there being multiple items along that line. And I'll get to that in a bit. I guess maybe what I can probably just focus on for now is I'll have the placeholder for that line, and then right below it display the image. And I want the image to take up as much space as possible on the screen. And then maybe we'll hook in some keyboard navigation and we'll hook in some other navigation as well. And I think that'll be the extent of it. Okay. Nothing fancy here, so this div can be that bar. Let's give it some padding. Should make this 3. A quick background color, which is different, so maybe 100. Yeah, this will just say hello for now again. And I have my light bar. I can just give this a border as well. Something darker. Border to be just a bottom border. And that's good enough for now. And the image will go over here. But I do want view router here as well, because I want to do something like /album /Toronto / I guess the image ID, which means that if I hit Toronto directly, later on I'll probably want some landing page just for each album. But for now, what I'll want is to load up all the images and then just redirect to the first image here. And for that, I will need view router. Okay, that's weird. Official router. Okay, this is from scratch, simple routing, but I actually want like legit let's see, view routers documentation. There we go. Okay, let's add this. And getting started. There's some setup that I'll need to do. Router link 2 being my router links. Pulling in my routes here. I could probably just dump this in main.ts. And not have to worry about creating multiple files. Or you know what, no, let me create a router file where I'll have this and I'll create the router in it, and then I can export that and pick that up here in the main.ts file. So we'll get that in here. And view app will load. I guess app will just become the layout, and that's fine. And then I need to do something like this. .use router. And I can export the router. Where are my imports? View, why wouldn't you just hit me up with my imports straight off the bat so I don't have to fiddle with this? I mean, I assume it's view router from view router, so And that should make that happy. And that is indeed the file I want to be in. I actually don't want web hash history. I want create web history, I think. Let's just see what other type of router histories this has. Memory history, okay. Web hash history and web history. So let's go back. And I want web history. And these are just my routes, so I don't need that. And then, okay, so this is the component that will get pulled in. And let me just look at the route matching. Okay, so I just put that in. I mean, I do use vrouter every day, but I haven't hooked it up from scratch in a while. And then I can use it in my component like this, although I probably will need to use the composition API. Okay, and we'll keep this rather simple. So I'll have an album component, and then I'll have an image component. And this can be colon album name. And oops, I'll have the same thing here, album name slash image ID. And that will hook into to that. Actually, I probably want this to be nested so that the template remains in the right place for the right thing. So I'll just have a router view inside the album, which will then serve image, and I just need to make it a child. And the path here will be image ID. I don't know if I need that slash there because the example did not have the slash to start. So let me just get rid of it. And this can be image is probably bad. So let me just call these views. And let's create these views. Okay. Oh, I need to make it. You know what? Let's not. Let's just do this and get that in there. And now let me create my components. The view image view and we'll just copy the outline from app view. And the template can just be, oops, album view here. Sure, let's just knock that in a div. And I'll look at that styling in a bit. And then here in a different div, I can have my router view. Okay, let's get something similar here. So this will probably be something like the header. I'll probably have the header inside the album view, maybe. I'll see. And let's just add a div here and pop that router view in there. Can I ask it to go on a different line? Yes. Okay, so now if I hit my album view, I expect to see that. And can I, I can go route.params dot album name. I believe that's what I had it defined as. Okay, I do need to do my imports here. Let's see if view picks them up. Nope. Import album view from component slash album view dot view, and here let's go image view and get that, and now this file is happy, and I can probably just hit this up and see how it goes. Okay, let's take a look. Ah, so many tabs. And I do need to start the server with 50/50. And I don't see anything here because I don't, I'm not, like I don't have a slash for this. So this can be /Toronto. And I would have expected to see my info there, but I don't see it because ViewRouter does not provide a default export. So that's fine. I wonder why they didn't just give me an example. Let me just jump in here and see. Ah, okay. So this should probably just be create router. And this can be create history, and I can create router, create web history. Okay, there we go. We got Toronto. If this was London, I would have London, which means my router view is working at least at one level. And then here, let me go to the image view, which is empty. So let me yank this out here. And this is image view. And image view doesn't need another router view, but we do want to output the ID. So we'll go route.params.imageID. And if I add some text in here, okay, great. So now we know that this is working. And if I was to navigate from image to image, it would pick up this. So let me commit this based on where we are, just as a work in progress. I've added some components. I've added a router file with a bunch of routes, and I'll probably eventually add a /route that will give you the option to choose from the three albums. Okay. What did I add? Viewing, just view router. Okay. And I changed my app to use view router. Although all of this will probably change once I get a better sense of what I want to do. Okay. So now I want to start thinking about pulling in the data from the server based on the main item I'm on, so based on the main album I'm on. London. Okay, because nope. Okay, London Images is there as part of the server, but I think my find file is kind of limiting it, which is fine. Okay, so in my album view, I'll want to pull in all the image data and the album metadata as well, but I never set that up, so I'll just pull in the images and we'll roll with that. And I'll probably need to pass in the images here into this component, and we'll figure that out when we get there. And I'll want here, let me pull in Axios. And just to refresh how Axios works, let me Google it. Okay, just straight up simple stuff. And again, I do use Axios every day, but it's just the from scratch stuff. And I do believe I should be able to await in the main view here. And for now, I'll just hard code this stuff. API slash albums slash, and this will be my album name. And do I need types? Cannot find it. I did do a yarn add Axios. Yarn add -d add types Axios. Axios is probably not Axios. So and just let me go into my package.json. That is like, that is dangerous. That's a security, that legit is a security risk. I bet someone's gotten that that package, this npm package, just to save our lives. Okay, Axios. All right. I'm gonna need to pull in the album name from the URL, and I'll be doing that through the composition API, and I can do route. I should be able to do route.params. Yep, params is a field, and album name. I need the router. Although I might later, if I want to push to a different, which I will. I will need it because I'll want to push to the first first item here. And so for now, let me just log the response and see if this actually works. Set a function returned a promise, but no suspense boundary was found in the parent component tree. A component with async setup must be nested in suspense in order to be rendered. And I remember in a previous live stream I had this issue. let's see if I can, how to fetch data with view 3, complete guide to suspense in view 3. I could just probably open this in a new tab and also just look at the actual experimental feature. I wonder if I have to do something specific or special for this. Okay, so this is my example. If using script setup, the presence of this automate make the component an async dependency. Great. The suspense component has 2 slots, default and fallback, and default is the default one here. This threw me for a loop last time. I remember very distinctly that I was thrown for a loop. Suspense, okay. Like, where does it, is it my main, does it go inside my template? Like, where's the full example? Maybe this blog post will be more helpful. And so it just goes inside anywhere. Template default. Apps is, it's inside app. Although sample 1 is the component that's async. So it's wrapped in there. So what do I wrap in suspense? Okay. Let's figure this out. See, the app has suspense, and here sample 3 is the one with the async await setup. Does that mean that my suspense needs to be in my app? And it seems like it has other stuff here, so I guess my router view just needs to be wrapped in suspense. At least for now, anyway, until this might just work enough for me to proceed. Okay, so I have now a good error. Okay, cores. So let me, for now, just disable cores, and I believe somewhere here there should be a cores reference. I guess I could just cheat my way through this by disabling cores. And now when I come back here and refresh, I am getting a hit, and it's still being blocked by cores. So cores true. And I'll just let everything. I'll just let everything in. What did I do? Ah, I do need to install cores. Okay. Like it told me to do. You need to install cores. Okay, seems like the data is coming through now. Just for my learning purposes, I want to see if I could have suspensed over here like this. I don't think I could have, but because this is what threw me for a loop last time. If I save that, no, so it seems like the parent component needs a suspense for the child async component. That's what it looks like here. So anyway, let's do all this business and do my way here. And now I get the data being loaded, and the data is just London. What I actually want is the images. And so now the data should be all those images. It's 304 images. Images equals response.data.images. Let me log that, and that looks good. Those are my images here. And then I guess in my image view, I can grab the specific image that I'm on. I should, because this is nested, I should be able to pull an image ID here as well if one exists. And then const image equals image ID, otherwise undefined. And the image ID can be so I just want to so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to do a find here, which is fine, not a big deal. Images.find image.id is equal to image ID, and that ought to give me my image. And I probably should have shared types here, but for now I'll any my way through this for now. And let's log the image. That's undefined, but if I pull in this ID and go here, then I should be seeing an image in the image file. And here, if I get rid of this, I'm here. And okay, yeah, because I guess if I'm here, then my router view never gets triggered because the URL doesn't indicate to view excuse me, to view that it needs to pull in the router view. But if I do have this out here, then my router view displays, and I believe I can do something like this and pass it that image. And then in my image view, I'll define some props here, and right over here, maybe just do a pre image as well as a prop. And I don't remember exactly how to do props in view composition script setup. So let's pull that in. Props. Right, so I can define props, and I can define props with more details here. Maybe I can just get away with doing something super simple like this and getting pulling in an image. And this is props.foo, and then yeah, let's figure this out. Image, and then do I have to do props.image over here? I guess so. Okay, yeah, that works. And here I can probably let me pull in that image. And in my metadata, I can have alt text for each one of the images eventually, so it's compliant as well. So in this case, oh yeah, no, let me actually keep that. This becomes this, and then localhost albums images slash, I believe it was the file name. So in this case, it'll be props. Oops. Props.image.file name. And that's no good. Image blah, because the album name needs to be correct. So that can be props.image.album. And voila, I have my first image. Cool. I can probably, at this point, let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, like it is taking the full thing, which is essentially what I want it to do. Okay, all right. This is exciting. Element is missing its end tag. Is it really? Are you lying? Yeah, you are lying. I think these are all lies. And they're gone once I load the file. Okay, good. All right. So let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. And then here in app view, let me pull in this hello header and actually replace this album view business with this. Okay, I guess I didn't. I pulled in too much. Okay, so this hello instead, let me just have the album name here so I know which album I'm on for any given album. Okay, let me commit here and then I'll do the redirect to that first image if I hit this, just so I'm coming to an image directly. And then yes, eventually this will be some landing page for this. Just added Axios and not Axois. Suspense, album view has all this business here to pull in the images and the image. I'm going to leave this console logs here since I'll probably be looking at these in one way or another. I got my image here. We'll do this for now, and then eventually we'll add that in. Oh, I don't need to look at this. Cores was added to the server, and that was good enough. And okay, let me do the redirect, which means if I'm in album view, if there's no image ID, I want to redirect myself. If not image ID, and I can do that much sooner. And use router. And I can do a push. And there was something I can copy paste probably from here. Router.push. I did not name my these things here, so let me add a name. Album, and this can be album.image. And I believe that's good enough for me to say album.image and params can be whatever route.params are, and then the image ID will be, okay, so I do need to pull in that first image. So I can do that up here. Actually, yeah, like why did I pull all that down? That was not necessary. Right, no. So I just need images. And if not image ID, the router will take a look here and the image ID will be images.id. And now when I go back here and I refresh, it has, and it didn't, I would have expected that image to have popped up immediately because the redirect is working. And the problem is that I guess when that redirect happens, okay, well, let's see what the problem is. Oh, just give me the right thing. Is this what's happening? Do I need to? It's probably that image is empty. So I can probably do something like this. It doesn't make sense, right? Because when this ID comes in, it should, this only loads once. This only loads once, which means that when the route changes, this isn't being run, right? So this image isn't being set when the route changes. Got it. So this isn't really going to help. This might get rid of the error, but it won't. It won't display that image. So the error is gone as we suspected. So for this, I don't know if it's being mounted. I might have to have a watch on route params. And if image ID changes, I reset image. Or the other way I can do this is just pass in all the images here, which is a bit simpler, to be honest, which I might do now because at this point I care more about the overall functionality than the properness of this. And then I can actually have this business over here. And this here inside, I believe, is being rerun. And if not, then I might have to just put a watch in here. Let's see. And this can be gone from here. And this will be props.images. Okay, so that is functioning. I feel like I'm getting two console.logs for the image. And I should just get one. Okay, so it is just one now. And if I land myself here, it does get redirected. The image is being pulled in. And so I'm happy with this. So let me just commit this. Okay, I'm not too happy with passing all the images into the router view here because it should only be, that component should only care about the image it needs to display. But I don't want to go fiddling around right now with what watches in here or whatever it is the fix for this is. So what I care a little bit more about right now is navigating from one image to another and changing the URL. So let's see if I can get that. All right. There's a couple ways I guess I could do the navigation. I'm not going to have anything up top here. Maybe I could just do it based on the keyboard. So if I press the arrow keys, I should see this stuff change. And that should be good enough for now. And then I'll do the change first, and then I'll see if I can throw in some kind of animation, which I haven't really done a lot of in Vue, so that'll be fun. Okay, yeah, and I'll probably run about another 15, 20 minutes here. All right, so I think in my album view, here I can probably listen to keyboard. Strokes and look for right and left, and then find the image and find its neighbor and send that information over. Okay. Window, add event listener for key up. Let's see how people have done it. Yeah, okay, so document our window, blah, 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 blah. And that should be good enough, I think. Oops. And that's just being logged here, so I should be able to go back, open this up, and I'll just increase the size here. And my val, am I still, yeah, okay. I don't need my val value, I just need E, because that event will have key structs. So I am pressing my arrow keys, and there you go. Fantastic. Code is arrow left. Is that right? Like, is that what it's supposed to be? Ah, so the key code is 37, but it is giving me the code as arrow left and the key as arrow left, and that's what I'll use, I suppose. So, and I might need some debouncing here later, so that if you press it too many times, it's not. It only reads the last one that you pressed. But we won't worry about that for now. Maybe that can be the next stream. Event dot code left. Arrow right. And I'll just log for now. Oops. Left and right, and I won't log this. So now if I click or if I press right, that is correct, and that is left. Fantastic. And then maybe up and down can do the same thing. So if it's left, I want to find the image. So I do need the image. Yeah, like, I mean, I think I should pull in the image here anyway. So that's fine. No, I like I don't need the whole thing actually for my purposes here. And what does it not like? Route.params, image ID, really? Images ID. What did I change? Images ID has already been taken, so I've been doing that. That's just me not keeping track. So I am getting the image ID and yeah. And if it's empty, I push to a different one. And then on key up, I need to find its neighbor. But yeah, I guess I can't escape watching the params, because if I just do a console.log here of image ID, if I clear that out, so if I hit this, I expect to see the undefined image ID undefined, which I do see here, and then I don't see image ID, which is a problem because each time I press the button, I'm using the value in image ID to determine which one I'm on and which one to go to next. So none of this will be functional unless I have image ID here updating based on the value of the params based on the params changing. So either I need to do a watch here, and typically in options-based view setup, options-based view, I wouldn't have to worry about that because setup is a one-time running thing. So the functions available to us in the options API view would manage this already. So this is kind of the extra stuff that you have to do if you're using setup or script setup. I believe. If I'm wrong, you can sue me. Okay, so it is here. Advanced navigation guards, route meta fields, data fetching, composition, transitions. Oh, yeah, transitions. Okay, I might be doing something like this very soon. Just once I get the changing working. Scroll behavior, dynamic routing. I don't believe it's this. Composition API. There you go. Okay, right there. The route is a reactive object, so interface properties can be watched, and you should avoid watching the whole route object. Yes. And for our purposes, we can watch a specific parameter and change something else. Fetch the user information when params change, and so that is the setup here. And I guess for our purposes, I'll pull this in, and yeah, now I guess I can change. Like now that I'm forced to do this, I'll probably modify this to image, pass it the image here, and we'll be back to where we were. So route.params.image ID is what I want to watch, and when it changes, I want to, maybe I can just pull in this here. I think that should work. And this can be image ID. Sorry, I'm just thinking about how I want to do this. So I guess what I can do is I can make image ID a ref. just make that an empty string to begin. And as it changes, I can do image id.value equals id. And so I'll just set it, and obviously if it's empty, I'll redirect. And now that I've made this change, let's make sure that works. Still, I'll probably have some issues, which is fine. Ref is not defined, of course. And watch is not defined, of course. And now that it works. And will this work? This does not work. So I guess it's literally on change, but not on initial load, because we come in here. I assume we're just not even coming in here, right? So let's just make sure. And yeah, we don't pop in here if it's the main one. But let's see if we do pop in here if I was to bring this out here. And route.params.image.ids, because I don't need to pull that into a variable until later. And so now that did do the redirect, and now that did go into there. So I think this is fine. This can live out here, and this will just store the image ID value. And I can have a computed property for the image that will depend on the image ID value. So let's do this. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it right. View 3 composition API computed. Script setup computed. And yeah, okay, so that's the way we would expect it to be. Computed, and then down here, well, or anywhere, I can just say image equals computed, and just, I guess, give it the function to figure it out, and view will do all the good stuff with it. So, right, so if not image id.value, return undefined. Otherwise, I want my image, and that can be this here. I could just do this. I don't need an exit condition. Return image id.value now, and .value out here. And this is not props anymore, so I'm kind of, I guess, returning back to where it was. And let's get rid of this, and let's get rid of that. And here, let's get rid of this. And let's move this back. Do I wish I'd never moved it from the start? No, I actually don't, because it's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Plus, if you know, like, if I actually had to do all this work much later, and I could have gotten by without this, I didn't know that, so I think that was the right thing to do. Cannot read properties of undefined reading album, so that's probably here. Props.image.album is not defined, even though we have a specific thing. Are we passing in? Let me just output the whole of props. I moved around a lot of code, so Image is a computed value, and if image id dot value, then images dot find id image id dot value, and let me console log here, just to see what image id is here. And I guess the issue is that, okay, yeah. So the issue is that I need to just set this to be based on route.params dot image id or empty string, and that works as expected. So the problem was that I had set it empty, and this only happens if there's a change, not on initial load. So I can just get rid of these element logs or these console logs. And that makes sense. Now this sort of the model of using script setup with watch is kind of being settled in my mind now, at least with regards to a view router. Okay, so now I can get back to error left and error right business. Okay, error left, error right, and now I might be able to use computed here to find the, like, just have the next image and the previous image stored. So next image, and in this case, it's whatever image is, finding index of image and then returning the next one. Index of image.value, I believe. I should be able to do this. I'm not sure image.value is going to be a proxy. I think it is, but I think. And then maybe I can just, I'll just return index for now, and then I can output the value here. Next image. Index of seems correct, and so I want the next image. So I'll do something like images index +1. And if I'm on the last image, this will just be undefined. Turn that. Although I should be, maybe I can just do ID here, just to have that. No, I can't. Reading ID of undefined, which means I can do maybe something like that. I would have expected next image. So this has an index of 0, which is correct. And then index +1, I would have expected to return a something else. I would have expected to return the next image and not emptiness. So of course, typo. There you go. Okay, so that's my next image, and this is different from this. So great, I got my next image. Let me hook in the previous image as well. And this would just be -1. And yeah, look, if it's undefined, it's undefined. So because I'm on my first image here, this, oops, previous image, and I should get nothing. And if I did this, I would get an error. Good. Okay. I'm going to leave that there for a bit just so I know what's happening. And then I can probably just yank all of this and I'll just pop this in here and I'll refactor this in a bit. Yeah, take all the params, destructure, and then go on the ID of next image dot value dot id. All of this question mark here is kind of dirty, so I'm just gonna say if image dot value. And I don't need to do this here anymore. And now let me just refresh for good measure. And now if I press this arrow key, I'm pressing the right arrow key. So this should all go in right. Okay, all right. So now I have this working, and once I refactor this, I can use that same bit of business here to if I click on this side and I click on this side to trigger that and figure that out. Okay, so in this case, I guess I'll do something like this. Let transition image equals nothing. And then here we'll just say transition image is equal to next image dot value. And if it's empty, it's empty, right? And here we don't care here if the transition image is there. Whoops. If it exists, it'll just flip it, which means if I go here and now I can do previous image dot value here. And now both arrows should work. So let's refresh this. Cool. Will you look at that? That's fantastic. Okay, I will try doing a transition and then I'll wrap it up. And yes, what you're looking at here is the Nazi symbol. There's a whole story attached with this, which I'll go into later. Okay, so let me commit this. This is all the transition business and pulling everything back. That's fine. And here, getting rid of this and simplifying this component. That's good as well. Navigate images via arrow keys. Awesome. Okay. Transition. So what I want is if the image changes, I want to see if I can do slide. Okay. And I know I saw some transition stuff in here. This is view. But I thought I saw it in view router as well. So yep, there it is. Let's see if anything here can be helpful. So view router or router view gives the component as a slot, and then we can add a transition around that component. And in this case, the transition is fade. And then if I can work out how to do a different transition, that would be great as well. And in this case, I'll pass in the image to this component here. Let's just make sure that everything works. So if I refresh and I navigate through the keys, that is working fine. And later on, when I do have a line here with kind of the dots for each subway station or images across the line, then I can transition this as well. Okay, and because there's no fade transition, it's not doing anything. But maybe if I get into the elements here, we might be able to sneak a peek at the classes being applied somewhere here. Look at this dividus, amazing. And am I seeing it? No, no, I am not. I would have made the assumption that the transition does something, but at least here, like it would apply, multiple different classes based on the transition itself. But um, let me actually look in this documentation here. But okay, cool. So you could, like, for example, pass metadata in here and then get the metadata from the route, which is provided by the slot, and then transition based on each route if the route needed a different kind of transition. Cool. Cool. Forcing a transition. Oh, cool. Okay. Um, I guess the transition won't happen every time because components are reused that look alike. And if we add a key, that would force a transition. Maybe that was why I didn't see anything here. Now I do see this class here, and maybe no, that's not it. It seems. Oh, look at that cat. Okay. That's fine. Let's not spend too much time here. Let's get right into the transition. And this is the stuff is defined here. So if the name is fade and then it's called fade interactive, which I do have, so I should be able to do something like this for now. Oops. Style. And this is just for now. I think I will probably use Tailwind classes in order to make this work. But I want to see if just the transition itself is functional here. And it is. I don't know if it's I'll probably have to do the inverse here. So like the enter and leave from and to probably don't. Okay, so from 0, enter from 0 and leave to 0. So that actually should work, right? But it doesn't quite seem like it's. Is it my last image? No, it's not. That doesn't make any sense. I'm pressing the arrow keys, but I'm actually not. I must have broken something. Because it's not finding a next image anymore. See that? Let me just hit up on my first image here. And I did break something. Well, that's sad. So now if I go here, it's broken. Probably because there's no image. Because that was the only thing that I changed. And so that's it. Okay, so I'm not sad anymore. Now the navigation works again. And yeah, now it is fading out and fading in both. Cool. Let me see if I can get a view transition slide tailwind. Someone must have done this. Yeah, I'm just opening a whole bunch here, but we'll see. Okay. My eyes turn blurry this time of the night sometimes, or the day sometimes. It's weird. So right now my eyes are blurry, which means I need to increase this a lot. Yeah, let me just copy paste and slide enter, slide leave. So it'll be slide. And fade can change to slide. And the direction and everything might need to change based on how it turns out. Okay, cool. Now what's happening is it is sliding, and it's sliding in the same direction each time. So I need to slide in a different direction based on the arrow key that I'm pressing. And then I want both images to be displayed. So right now the exiting image is displayed and the new image just pops in because probably the component isn't there at the time it should be. So that's interesting. I'm just gonna change this back to fade for now, and we'll end this here, and then maybe in the next one I can Google my way out of the problem that I'm trying to solve here, which is the transition is not really applying to the next, like those two images aren't there side by side for it to transition properly. And I'm sure that's a common problem someone has solved in Vue before, but I'm fairly happy with the progress made here. Let's see what happens when this is large. Like I do want the image to take up most of the browser space, but I will probably need to play with how it should, display if someone has their browser size set to this, or someone has their browser size set to this. Like I guess it should be centered. Maybe it should be dark. Maybe I can do just some of that here. I probably don't need two divs here, right? And then my friend Flex, like, and this is, you can clearly see I haven't learned a whole lot of CSS or how to do that properly. Okay. I guess I would have just expected, well, I guess this is fine, but when it's larger, I would have expected the image to just be centered instead of being up top. So let me quickly take a look at how this is represented. That's this thing up top, and this is my div here. So this div, if I just give it that space, so like one of the divs isn't full, let's just say. So for example, this div, yeah, even this div isn't everything. So maybe I can go in index.html, and I want this to be h screen. So initially it should take the full width. And that information has transferred, but my image is still not centered. And I probably want the divs inside to. So now this is correct, because when I hover over this, the entire thing is being highlighted. But this isn't, so I need to make this. The width is full by default, so I'll just have to make this height full. And now I expect to hover over app and still see everything highlighted. And then this div in here, same thing. I think it needs to be just full all the way down, which is a bit, again, yeah, sure, it's a bit dirty. Okay, fine. And that's this div over here. Which is in my album, and I wonder if I even need this div here. I don't think I've made anyone unhappy with that div being removed. And now this app, and then this div. Where's this div coming from? App, okay. Yeah, app view. And honestly, do I even need this div? Everything does load. So now I have my app, and these divs are straight up from there. And even though it's h-full, this is over here, and this album view, and so here's what I'm thinking. This is now just showing up in my app, which is fine. And if I do add a div around here, it'll just be a function of just this component. And I can take all of that, pump it in here, and now this is a div. And now let's see if I can flex my way out of this as well. This is probably not the right thing to do in CSS, right? Like this is not, but I'm not an expert. So this div, I want it to take the rest of this space here. Yeah, so flex auto to allow an item to grow and shrink, taking into account its initial size. Grow and shrink as needed. So maybe this can be flex none. And this can be flex 1. Which I guess this just means that I'll have to put that information here. Wait, okay, that's fine. I don't think this will work. And if it doesn't, okay, I'll just give this a few more minutes and I'll call it off. So this, I want this to be, take up the rest of the space, right? So this I want fixed, and this I want to take up the rest of the space. And I don't think I can just say h full over here because I feel like it'll extend beyond this. But let's just do it anyway, just see what happens. Okay, nothing. Okay, I didn't remove the stuff from here. Not that that would have made a difference anyway. So I'd expect whatever's in, see this, like this thing is not taking up the full full height. This isn't either. Okay, so that definitely is a problem. Flex call, so that needs to be h-full. All right. Oh, geez. All right, there we go. Okay. Okay. Debugged. Did I need this? No, I didn't. Okay, so that's all I ever needed. So this instinct was good. Do I even need to be flexing here? Yeah, so all of that was good. Did I need to be doing this? And this business? Yeah, seems like I did. Pop that back in. No, hold on. Something else broke. So, okay. My flex wasn't there. Okay, so I do need these. So all those instincts were right. And so now this thing is centered, and let's say if the image is a bit different, that will still be centered. So and this, like, I actually don't I don't want this to happen. Like, I don't want any scrolls. So I'll fix that later. Okay, for now, okay, I can just call this off and be happy with where I am now. Oh, look at, oh, that's disgusting. Did some remnants of the previous thing remain? Because it's loading both images. And for this, I might have to do stuff like preload the next image and all that business. Ugh. It's so terrible, but also I can't stop navigating, you know? That's fine. Okay, this is good for now. It's not great, but it's, you know, it's making progress. Okay, so I've added some animation here. I know that, let me just refresh that. I thought I checked this information. I've done this. Okay, so switch albums we never got to. Some animation moving from photo to photo, yes. Navigating by arrow keys. And so we'll navigate via click and tap later. Navigate via click and tap. Animate slide. Fix image dimensions. No scroll. Image height width should be contained. All of these are actually more important than switching albums, and that line stuff I can do later. So if I can just get the navigation sliding and working properly first, that would be great. And then I can focus on the other things. All right, cool. I'll catch you next time.